So I'm joined with Mike at EVA England stand, fully charged, and he has probably one of the first electric cars. Is it the first electric car?
No, they were maybe 5-6 years before this, but they were incredibly expensive. This was one of the cheaper ones. If you go back to 1900 in America, 40% of the cars on the road were electric, 40% were steam, and 20% were what they called exploding engines, internal combustion engine. A steam car, if you wanted to go out, you'd have to light the boiler. 3/4 of an hour later, you could probably go out. Exploding engine just put people off, didn't it? Electric car, you got in, switched it, off you went.
So everyone talking today about how electric cars are a new technology and we don't really understand them yet. They're talking...
There's very few new things, probably iPhones. They didn't have iPhones and what have you, or different types of phones. But no, I mean, the incredible thing about this is it's got regenerative charging. So let me explain here.
Yeah.
Grab hold of that lever, that's your speed. So you're in neutral at the moment, push it forward 1 notch. Right, you're in low speed now, push it forward another one. You're in middle speed now, push it again. You're now in high speed. You're doing 18 miles an hour.
So
for 60 miles.
So 80 miles an hour, how did that compare at the time to...
18 miles an hour. Yeah. Well, you've got to compare it with a horse. I don't know much about horses. You had to stop and water a horse and, feed it and clear up its poo. What do you do with horses? Whereas this, you can actually go and visit the in-laws without much aggro. But people always ask, how far does an electric car go on a charge? They never ask how fast it goes or how wet you get or, but, I mean, it was incredible. It was just the Model T Ford, when it came along in 1908, that was the first version of the Model T Ford. It was cheap. Most cars were very expensive. The rich could buy them, but, the average person couldn't. And you could travel across America. You could travel across England. You went to a petrol station or the early cars, you used to go to a chemist, buy your gasoline, your fuel. So suddenly you could have a cheap car, you could fill it up and you could go miles.
So I've got to ask, how did you acquire this and why did you acquire it?
Right. I'd wanted an electric car for years. I've owned this one for about 15 years. It came from America. I had a friend in America and I said, if you ever see an electric car, an unrestored electric car, I want it. So after about 2 years of that, he phoned me up one day and said, I've got one, do you want it, Mike? Do you want it? I said, well, tell me about it, send me a picture. No, you've got to say yes to it now if you want it. So I said, send me a picture. He sent me a picture and I said, yes, I'll have it. In America, they love restoring cars. If this was restored, people they'd think I'd made it last week. Because it's original, I mean, there are bits of it falling off. There are leather mudguards and things that are falling off. But because it's original, it means more, I think.
Well, it's like the seat I'm sat on now. You can see the horsehair. You can see that you've not retrimmed the leather to a.
Yeah, you feel the Anthrax coming through from the hell.
Yeah, but it's all original. There's no. You've not gone to that whole thing of retrim, because leather retrim is a fairly standard restore.
Yes, it costs a lot of money, but what's the point? I'm not going to drive it every day to work or whatever. It still works. It's still taxed, insured. Historic vehicles, you don't have to MOT these days. But I can drive this on the road quite happily. There'll be a lot of cars behind me, trust me, a lot of them.
I was going to say, when you say quite happily, how happy are the people behind you at 18 miles an hour?
Not very. It's like being a tractor driver or whatever. Tractors go faster, but no, I mean, I love the history of old cars, cars that are what we call Brighton cars, so they're eligible to do the London to Brighton run. That's before the 1st of January 1905, so cars that are, really old.
And what have you done? Because it's not fully original. You've made some tiny modifications to it.
Well, it's got golf buggy batteries in the back. It's got 8 6-volt golf buggy batteries, and the wiring's been replaced because the insurance company said you've got to do something about the wiring.
And how many of these exist in the world now?
There are probably about 6 of them, 6 of this type of model. This one was made in November 1901. So it's it's an early car.
It is simply one of the most amazing. I mean, I work in the car trade. This is simply one of the first times I've seen a car this old, this original, and I mean, it's a shame there's no smell vision. I mean, you're from the TV industry, and they've always been talking about smells from TVs. The smell of this is beautiful.
I'll tell you what the smell is. It's the leather cleaner that I put on it, because I mean the leather really cracks up. So I put this, so that's you'll smell of that leather cleaner. But yes,
it's not the horsehair then.
No, that's probably Anthrax, like I said. I think you're all right after 100 years. You can't catch anything from it. But yeah, I mean, look, we could switch it on and drive it now. You could just you've left it in high speed. Pull it back. That's it. If you pull it back further, that would be electric braking. And
so that's the Regen
to go up and charge.
What are these 2 pedals for then?
Right, that's notched. All right, you've got the speed notched. One of the brakes is on the electric motor, and the other one is on the wheels. So you've got fairly good control when you're driving along. Now, I said earlier that the Model T Ford replaced this. The Model T Ford has got no brakes on the wheels, apart from a parking brake, which is, if it's a hill, you're going to stop. It's got a transmission brake. This has got, loads of brakes, 3 brakes. So if the differential went in a Model T Ford, you've got to rely on the curb. That's your way of stopping. And this had 3 brakes.
So out of all, I presume you've got a collection of classics.
They're not classics. I mean, my oldest car's 1899, which is an internal combustion engine. It's a Benz. It's got 6 seats, and it's 3.5 horsepower. So it's slightly faster than this. It's got 2 seats on the back facing backwards, and if I've got passengers in the back, if I'm driving along, I'll probably flat out, I'm doing 20 miles an hour. They think they're doing about 60. It's like that. But I just love old cars. I love talking about them, showing people, because most people think electric cars are a new thing.
Well, I mean, I retweeted when Warren from EVA England, who's got, you've lent the car to them for this stand.
That's right.
Yeah, I retweeted the thing and said, everyone says electric cars are a new thing. Clearly not. I think people seeing this and getting the history of how electric car motors are essentially very simple things, and so simple that they were making them.
They're really simple. I mean, trust me, electric motors have come on a long, long way from this. This is a few horsepower. Not the sort of things we're talking about now with high-speed cars. I mean, there's a racing car over there that does 0 to 60 in 1.2 seconds. I mean, that would snap my neck off, I think.
So just a couple of the interesting things that I've never seen before. Obviously, it's got leaf springs, but the wheels, are they made from cork?
No, what the tyres you mean? No, they're pneumatic. I mean, Mr. Dunlop invented the pneumatic tyre many years before this. Yeah, they're blow-up tyres.
And how do you find getting parts or finding sources for this is?
We can still get tyres. They're made in Vietnam these days. These ones on it are quite old, but yes, you can still get them. And the batteries, I say, are golf buggy batteries. People have said you could probably put lithium-ion batteries or something. No, I want to keep it as close to the original as possible. No, it's great. It's great. I mean, you know, if we weren't in an exhibition, I'd turn the thing on and off we'd go.
Well, I've got. Thank you for letting me sit. I mean, I am making my cameraman very, very, very jealous. But yeah, thank you for this, and it's a pleasure meeting you.
It's been great.
Thanks for a great car.